Well, this week I get to see if I can be a copycat blacksmith. Well, this is the rear iron that supports the rear luggage boot on the tail end of this body. And it seems to me like the puzzle on this coach never seems to end. If we look at the end of this iron, this would be the bottom where it sets up against the sideboard, and this goes across on the cross frame. If we look at this, you can see that it's slanted off to the side. It's not sitting square with the main body of this iron. I don't know if you can see that, but if I put it up on the body, you can kind of see that a little more clearly. In my mind, I'm thinking this should set straight with the end of this body. But when I clamp this down, you can see how crooked that is. The whole thing is leaning forward. And so my quandary is, why? So if I line this up with the back end of the framework here, where I think it should go, you can see how much of a forward lean this has. And even from the outside view looking in, you can see how far forward this is tilted. So this long iron that becomes the support brace to carry the weight of the luggage has to go right in front of this cross beam here, and with it in its crooked position, it's actually just about right. So why don't I just leave it crooked? Well, there's an outside brace that has to go on here, and it goes through these top two holes with these two bolts. See how they line up? Well, if I put these in that crooked position, it's going to put this brace in a crooked position. So this outside brace matches up with these two holes in about this position. Well, if this leans forward, it actually kicks this end back. And that just doesn't seem right, that it would kick this to the back side of this brace. It should be up here square. So if I want to straighten up this brace, I have to straighten up this back frame iron, which then brings this back, which is going to be throwing this iron here out of alignment. The hole is not going to fit. So do I have to stretch this? What do I do? I don't know why it's built crooked. Now you might think, well, maybe it's because of the wreck. Thought about that too. This iron is 2 inches wide and 1/2 inch thick. This bend on the end of this was purposely put in. From a wreck and this amount of iron and this style of bend, as tight a bend as that is, would not have bent from a wreck. This was actually forged hot to be at this angle. So I don't think it was because of the wreck. So the question is, what do I do? If I straighten this up, then I have to add a piece into this iron, probably equivalent to an inch to 1.5 inches, to make it long enough to fit this hole. Or if I straightened this bend out, I could actually make this lean forward and lean it forward in this location instead of this location. It would leave this iron the same. It would straighten this up to where it needs to be. My outside brace would be straight. I wouldn't physically change any of the iron in length. I would just transition the bend in the angle from here to here. That's where I'm kind of leaning toward. It still is a mystery to me. Why was this put in crooked? All the pieces just don't add up in my head. Why not just make this straight, make the iron brace where it needs to be, and everything is copacetic. If I just change the position of the bend, I'm not actually changing the iron other than the location of that bend. You know, this iron brace for the right side is missing, so I have to duplicate this side. So do I duplicate it and make it square where I think it should be? Or I duplicate it and put it square down here and just angle it back? It'll function both directions. It's kind of a head game for me. I would like to see this thing standing up square where I think it should be. Well, through the whole process of rebuilding this coach, I've had to do a lot of analyzing and hopefully not too much criticizing of the two craftsmen that have been involved in this coach. The first craftsman in the initial build, and then the second who did the majority of the repair work. Well, every blacksmith has their own style and their own signature. So the challenge in duplicating this rear iron for the luggage boot is to copy what I think is the style and signature of the first craftsman. And there's a couple reasons why I think this belongs into the category of that first craftsman. One of them is in this bend right here. This is the first bend I'm going to do. And you notice this is a pretty sharp bend, but when you make that bend, this outer bend tends to be round. So in order to come up with a fairly square outside bend, you have to what's called upset this iron. You make the initial bend, and then this iron has to get pushed back, and this iron has to get pushed back in order to refill this outside round corner to have enough material to make it square. This is a sign of the first craftsman. Then after this first initial bend is made, this toe here has a nice long taper to it, over about 4 inches. Nice finishing touch. Now the next two bends are a little more gradual bends. This is what comes up the sideboard and comes up over the top. The sideboard's going to sit right in here. Well, this is a pretty easy bend to make. This one is a little more extreme, but it still has a round corner inside, and it allows for more of a round corner. So this one is not quite so difficult to bend. This one is easier. This is a little more difficult. Then the last bend is probably the most difficult to make. Again, this is a very sharp corner inside, but it's also been made square outside. So this will be very similar to the first bend I'm going to make, and that was made on this iron. This second bend is somewhat of a difficult bend because of its close proximity to the first bend. To get a fairly square corner outside, square corner inside in this short amount of distance. This bend is the most challenging bend on this piece of iron. Well, I'm going to give her a go and see if I can't come close to the quality of that first blacksmith. Well, this is the original iron from off of this coach. This is the one that I duplicated. We're pretty close in taper and in the same style of the square corner. Now in the second bend, again, this is the original. This might be a little more of a gradual bend than what I ended up with. I might be a little tighter here. The second bend is pretty close. I didn't upset it, and perhaps maybe I should have. I might be a little more rounded here than I am here. ID is pretty close to the same. OD, I might be a little more round. Well, on this last bend, this is the original and this is my duplicate. When I measured this distance here, I took a quick measurement. I thought that was about 3/4. It's actually finished maybe about 7/8. So I took a piece of 3/4 inch iron, as you saw on my little form that I made, in order to bend this around 3/4. Well, when I ended up here, I am probably closer to 1 inch, where this one back here is 7/8. So I'm 1/8 inch stronger on this little distance here than this one was. But I think we're pretty close, not exactly the same on this bend. So this is the original iron, and it went on the left side of this body. So to double check my angles, I want to put this one on about where it's going to be. Then I would like to stick this one right alongside it, hold it in position, and see where I am in relationship here. And I think we're pretty close. We end up at the same point here. This is where the brace iron is going to be. So we're actually pretty close. Like I say, we're a little bit different in the length here, but where we mount up to this bolt, I think we're going to be pretty close. So this iron is actually going to go on the right side. And remember, there's going to be a wood spacer that goes in here. So this should be about the position of the left side iron as it sets straight. I might just leave it that way. And then this is the position of the right side iron. Again, I made it straight as it stands straight, similar to the left side iron as it stands now. So this has a series of holes where it gets bolted both to the sideboard through this block, and then this extra trim piece out here goes to the brace, and then 2 larger bolts that go through the main frame. And this has what it looks like is about a 1/2 inch bolt that supports the main brace with the loop that holds the chain to the rear luggage boot. So all that's left is to mark out my holes, drill them, and then put in my 1/2 inch carriage bolt for my main brace iron that goes to the body. So this is the type of thing that I always find interesting in wagon restorations, is trying to duplicate craftsmanship of those that were 100, 120, 150 years before me. It's always a fun challenge. Appreciate you following along. Thanks for watching.